Welcome to Narrative Nook Audio Tales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Could she be a heroine from a hidden world like in those action movies? Nicole is so much more skillful than those heroines. Once the conversation was heated, their voice became louder and louder that others in the class were looking at them. Nicole frowned a little. Fighting isn't something to be proud of. Let's keep it low. Bradley and Lulu realized that they were a little too loud. Just as Nicole said, fighting was not a thing to be proud of. If a teacher overheard it, they would be in trouble. The both of them nodded and pretended to zip their mouths, signaling that they would not talk about it anymore. When Nicole saw that the two were so sensible, her expression relaxed a little. Just as she was about to speak, a loud voice came from outside. Then, Austin suddenly stormed into the class. The whole class was terrified of his ferocious look. Once Austin saw Nicole, he walked over while yelling, "Boss! I heard that the hooligans from next door, Cain, disturbed you yesterday after school. Why didn't you tell us? We could have settled him for you." All the students surrounding them heard Austin wanted to beat up Cain for Nicole. Their eyes widened as they stared at both of them in disbelief. They did not expect Austin to be serious about recognizing Nicole as his boss. Someone had disturbed Nicole, and he actually wanted to do something about it. Everyone thought Nicole would agree since no one would deny Austin's request. Unexpectedly, Nicole replied coldly, "It's fine. I can settle this on my own." She rejected Austin once again. All eyes were on Austin. Nicole had rejected Austin twice. Would he walk away like last time or retaliate to maintain his reputation? Gary was also looking at them. In the end, Austin acted as if nothing had happened and continued pressing on. "No way, you're my boss, yet Cain had the guts to disturb you. He has disrespected me. I, Austin, would never let my boss be bullied. I'll bring my men and teach him a lesson now." The whole class was stunned. They established a newer idea of Nicole's place in Austin's mind. Seeing how Austin was talking to himself, Nicole did not bother to pay attention to him. Austin had already turned to his boys and summoned them. "Someone bullied our boss. We should show them who's the real boss." His lackeys behind him echoed him loudly, "Yeah. Show them who's the real boss." Austin nodded in satisfaction and led his lackeys out of the class aggressively. The others let out a sigh of relief as soon as Austin left. However, Nicole did not bother to care about Austin. Her head was looking down while reading the book she had not finished the day before. She did not notice Gary was staring at her the whole time. The bell rang, and Miss Emerson entered the class. She looked through the whole class to see if anyone was absent. Then, she nodded happily and started the class. 10 minutes before recess, she glanced at her watch and tapped the podium. "There's going to be a maths Olympiad soon. This time around, the district highly regards this competition. The principal made it an obligation for each class to send 2 representatives. Gary is one of them. There's 1 slot left. Any takers?" Gary leaned back on his chair lazily. Although he hated studying, he was famous for being a maths genius. He had been winning competitions both nationally and internationally since he was young. Therefore, no one was surprised when Ms. Emerson mentioned Gary's name. The monthly test was just around the corner, and suddenly there was a maths Olympiad. The students all stared at each other, worrying that it would affect their test revisions, and they did not want to participate. Compared to a maths Olympiad, which they could not win, they would rather place their time and effort in their revisions. Ms. Emerson's face did not look good when she saw that no one had raised their hands. She had already said that the district was taking this competition seriously. She did not expect the students to be this indolent. She scanned through the class. Everyone in the class was looking down, except for Nicole, who was still looking at her calmly. Ms. Emerson's eyes lit up. She recalled that in Nicole's profile, it was written that she had participated in a maths Olympiad before. She could not help but ask, "Nicole, you've participated in a maths Olympiad in your previous school, right?" Nicole did not expect Ms. Emerson to call her name, but she nodded anyway. Ms. Emerson saw her nodding and took the liberty of putting her name in. "Then, you and Gary would represent our class this time around. Don't forget to attend training every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoon at the lecture hall. There will be a teacher guiding both of you. Nicole did not seem to care much, as it was not much different from all these classes. Ms. Emerson took her silence as an agreement and let out a sigh of relief. She was very worried that Nicole would disagree. It was unexpected for the conversation to be this smooth. Thinking about this, Ms. Emerson favored Nicole a little more. As soon as recess commenced, Bradley, who looked worried, came running and asked, "Nicole, did you agree to join the competition? I heard that this round would be a hard one. Didn't you see that no one wants to join?" Nicole replied calmly, "It'd be nice to kill time." Bradley then remembered she could answer all the questions correctly last time. He slapped his lap and said, "Right, normal papers are too easy for you. It's much more interesting and challenging to join competitions." Nicole did not refute him. She was too lazy to reply that even the competition questions were just the same as normal test papers to her. It was lunchtime. Nicole packed all the books on her table and was about to have lunch with Bradley and the rest. Unexpectedly, she heard someone calling out to her as soon as she stood up. "Nicole." Nicole looked over and saw Snow standing at the door. When she noticed Nicole looking back at her, she smiled and waved her hand to signal her to go over. Nicole stood still. She was not that close to Snow, so she did not know what Snow's hidden agenda was. As Snow realized that Nicole was ignoring her while everyone else was staring at her, she laughed and walked over to Nicole. Standing next to Nicole, Snow put on her signature gentle look and asked, "Nicole, shall we have lunch together?" Now that the famous campus queen was in their class, everyone irresistibly stared at them. Snow was famous for her gentleness and generosity. She did not care about everyone's gaze but continued to present her best side. Many of the boys were discussing among themselves, "Look, that's the campus queen in our school. She really lives up to her name, her skin as fair as snow." There were also many who praised her beauty. Snow was extremely happy upon hearing it. Jack heard them and sneered, "If you have bad eyesight, it's better to donate it to those in need." No matter from which angle, Nicole looks so much prettier than Snow. The title of Campus Queen will be up for another round of voting again. It's hard to say if Snow can retain this title this year. When Snow heard his words, her face turned pale, and she almost lost her posture. Previously, it was viral on the internet that the new transfer student Nicole was prettier than the current campus queen, Snow, by 100-fold. Snow did not show it on her face, but she secretly tore apart a book in her hands. It was already a shame for her to be placed next to Rain for campus queen. Now that Nicole has stepped into the picture, her title of campus queen was in danger. Snow glanced at Jack and noticed that the boys were from Gary's clique. She dared not to mess with the Finleys. So, she could only put up with everything in silence. Unless. While Snow thought of something, her eyes gleamed with a satisfactory smile. If that person was present, these people's mockery would just be a minute thing. Nicole did not bother about others' comments. She looked at Snow and asked, "Why are you suddenly inviting me for lunch?" She had witnessed Snow and Rain's loudmouth. Snow did not seem like one who would simply invite others for a meal. Snow smiled and replied, "It's your first day, of course I had to come to see you." Nicole frowned, "Is that all?" "Yeah," smiled Snow. Nicole was a lot more curious about Snow's hidden agenda. She simply replied, "Let's go then." She wanted to see what Snow was up to. All the way to the canteen, Snow had been checking in on Nicole with questions. She wondered if Nicole felt uncomfortable with the place. Nicole gave her short replies. If a stranger saw them, the person might think that Snow treated Nicole really well. But Nicole was not grateful for it. After all, gossip was Karen and Snow's favorite thing to do. Nicole did not want to give her any chance to badmouth her. But the colder she treated Snow, the graver Snow's expression became. Other people thought Nicole was bullying the campus queen. Many of them took a picture of it angrily and posted it to the campus blog. These pictures were skillfully framed at the best angle. It made Snow seem to be extremely wronged. Wow! This Nicole is really shameless. Our campus queen was being kind to a country bumpkin like her. It's fine if she did not appreciate it, but she actually bullied her and made her cry. That's right. No matter how beautiful she is, it's the personality that matters. How could she be compared to Snow's gentleness? Sorry to interrupt, but it's going to be the annual campus king and queen competition again. Who will you guys vote for? It'll definitely be for Snow. Same here. Nicole did not know that she had become a hot topic on the school's blog in just a few days. And about 80% of it was bashing her. But even if she knew about it, she could not be bothered by it. The both of them walked to the canteen and sat down. Everyone was secretly staring at them. Nicole did not like such atmospheres, but she tolerated it, took her meal, and sat down. On the other hand, Snow was enjoying the attention. She kept that usual smile on her face, thinking that she was being elegant. She sat down in front of Nicole. Then, as she secretly glanced at her phone to realize that everyone on the internet was bashing Nicole, her smile became wider. The person he hired for the photos definitely did a great job. Now she did not have to worry about losing her title as campus queen. Looking at Nicole, who knew nothing about what was going on, Snow was secretly happy that Nicole was in so much trouble during her first few days in school. She felt a huge relief from the previous boys' comments in class. Before Nicole picked up her spoon, she heard Snow's gentle yet annoying voice. "Nicole, did you get onto the bad side of Celia's boyfriend? Yesterday, Celia mentioned she would ask his boyfriend to give you a good beating. You didn't get into trouble, right?" Nicole immediately understood her meaning. So, Cain was actually Celia's boyfriend. No wonder Snow looked for her. She must be here to gossip about her being bullied. Nicole smirked and glanced at Snow. She replied coldly, "You should ask Celia's boyfriend instead. Isn't she your best friend?" Celia was close to Snow and Rain, and she actually asked such questions. It was very pretentious of her. After all, it seemed like Cain was the one in trouble after what had happened last night. Nicole's gaze made Snow feel a little nervous. It was as if Nicole saw through Snow's intentions. But when she heard Nicole asking her to go back and ask Celia's boyfriend about it, she felt mocked. What could she do to Cain that she dare speak so daringly? But to maintain her image, Snow pressed down her judgment and pretended to advise Nicole, "It's best for you not to offend Celia again. The Rowe family is not that great to mess with. Moreover, his boyfriend is rumored to be ferocious in the Northern Institute. They've taught many people a lesson, and none of their victims could fight back." Before she could finish speaking, a group of people was chatting loudly behind her. "Hey, didn't you say Celia was absent today?" asked a girl. The friend replied, "I heard her boyfriend was sent to the hospital after being beaten up in a fight. The results came out, and he fractured his right leg. I don't know who did it." Another friend mocked, "Didn't she act proudly in school only because of her boyfriend, who is a bully? Let's see what else she can be proud of now." Hearing that conversation, Snow was stunned. Thinking of what Nicole said, she suddenly connected the dots and figured it out. Could it be that Nicole was the one who had beaten Cain up? Impossible. Though Snow believed that it was impossible, she still looked at Nicole with worry-filled eyes after some time. Then, is Cain really in the hospital now? Even though Snow did not ask Nicole aloud, "Did you beat him?" That question was already written on her face. Nicole looked at Snow's odd expression coldly. Nicole had already finished her food when Snow was in a daze, so she did not want to stay and continue being pretentious with Snow. "Didn't I say you should ask him instead? I'm done eating, so I'll be leaving now." Nicole then stood up and walked away as Snow watched her leave. Snow's eyes widened all of a sudden. Who on earth is Nicole? How did she defeat that evil Cain? Nicole left the cafeteria and thought about what Ms. Emerson had said in the morning. She asked Nicole to attend the Maths Olympiad training classes every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoon. It was Tuesday today, so Nicole turned and walked toward the lecture hall. Gary, who had also walked out of the cafeteria after finishing his meal, looked at Nicole's carefree figure and squinted slightly. He had already seen the whole incident where Nicole sat together with Snow. In other words, he had also seen Snow's mouth agape after Nicole left. It made him even more curious about the conversation between the two girls. Gary could not help but smile when he saw Nicole looking like nothing had happened. He walked slowly behind her at her pace, constantly leaving a short distance between them. When he saw the lecture hall in front of them, He hurried his steps as he walked into the class with Nicole. Rain was sitting in the class when she saw Gary walking in, and a surprise grew on her face. But her expression had immediately turned sour as she saw Nicole walking in with Gary not long after. She asked Nicole while keeping her jealousy in control. "Why are you here, Nicole? This class is exclusively for students joining the Maths Olympiad competition." Nicole looked at her indifferently, not uttering a word. Gary replied Rain instead, "We are joining the competition on behalf of our class, so our teacher told us to come together." Rain looked at them doubtfully as she sharply sensed that Gary was being protective by listening to what he had said, so her gaze toward Nicole turned more hostile. Nicole glanced over at Gary indifferently after listening to his reply. She was already aware of Gary following her from behind, but she did not bother to do anything about it as he had kept to himself. Now that he mentioned that Ms. Emerson asked them to attend the class together, there was no need for Nicole to expose him too. Nicole started walking and headed toward the last row of seats. Rain saw Nicole walking further, so she started a conversation with Gary. But Rain noticed Gary's eyes following Nicole closely. He completely ignored what she was saying. She got so angry she started to raise her voice, saying, "Gary, I'm talking to you. Why did you come together with her?" Gary furrowed his eyebrows as he wondered why he did not notice how annoying and unreasonable Rain was before. If he had known how irritating she was, he would not allow her to follow him around so much anymore. He then walked toward the last row of seats. But when he was halfway there, Rain suddenly rushed over and dragged him to the first row. Coincidentally, the school bell rang, so Gary did not push her away. Subsequently, a bald man ran into the lecture hall in small steps and stood on the stage as he introduced himself. "Hello students, I'm Mr. Lewis, your teacher for this Maths Olympiad training class. I believe you are all elite students from your classes. I'll save the unnecessary talk and hand out last year's example questions. We'll discuss the solutions for the first half of the class. For the second half, we'll have a test to see what level you're at." Upon speaking, he took out a pile of example questions and a stack of answer sheets as he passed them down. Nicole looked at it and arched her brows, keeping the example questions in her bag. She filled in all the sections of the answer sheets beautifully and placed them at the corner of her table. She then took out a book and started to read it. Mr. Lewis was teaching passionately on stage. He seemed like he did not mind what Nicole was doing. Nicole was so engrossed in the book that class ended before she realized it. She was really interested in the hacking strategies in the book, so she had never raised her head throughout the whole class. Rain, who was leaving the lecture hall with Gary, mocked Nicole when she walked past her. "It's fine if you come from the countryside, but you actually don't want to pay attention in class. Could it be that you don't understand a single thing being taught?" Nicole finally started to find Rain's loudmouth annoying, so she kept her book away and looked at Rain coldly. Nicole then submitted her answer sheet and left right after. Rain continued behind her back, "Know your place and stop humiliating yourself here." She even answered her answer sheets fully. How pretentious. "Isn't that right, Gary?" Gary watched Nicole leave as a sudden urge grew in his heart. He did not even bother to respond to Rain and walked out of the lecture hall with Nicole. And Rain was left behind, angrily calling Gary from behind. Nicole walked a distance before she sensed that she was being followed again, so she turned to look at Gary, frustrated. Gary secretly cheered when he saw her turning back, but he still acted apathetically and asked, "Mr. Lewis was quite fast back there. Could you really get what he taught? We're from the same class anyway, so feel free to ask me for help if you're having trouble with something." Nicole was not touched by it as she looked at Gary and said flatly, "The only reason I didn't listen is that it was too easy. There's no need for me to waste my time." Gary was stunned upon hearing Nicole's response. Gary was unaware that, for the usual competitions, Nicole would only need to scan through the questions before she answered them at top speed. She really did not need to listen to the long and complicated solutions Mr. Lewis was teaching. Nicole did not wait for the frozen Gary. She had simply chosen a dorm room that morning, so she did not get a good look at it. Besides, she had yet to meet her roommates, so she sped up her pace. Though some people were talking about her on her way back to the dormitory, she could vaguely hear keywords like evil and the campus queen. However, Nicole did not mind that and went to her dormitory straight away. When she got to the dormitory, The other two roommates had already returned to the room. Lulu widened her eyes as she watched Nicole walking in, as if she did not expect Nicole to be her roommate. Nicole also knew the other roommate. She was June, their English class representative. Since June was a hard-working student, she did not really mingle around with her classmates. She seemed really prideful and cold, so everyone gave her a secret nickname, Nerd. Both Nicole and Lulu were not close with June, so June had just glanced at Nicole when Nicole walked in. June did not even greet her as she lowered her head, busy with something. Lulu walked toward Nicole happily. "So, you are the new girl. This is fantastic, Nicole. We're going to stay together from today onwards." Nicole nodded to Lulu indifferently. Her bed was already done by the servants of the Riddle family. She sat on her bed and started to open her duffel bag, which was her luggage. After taking out and putting her daily necessities in place, she stored her laptop in the cabinet above her headboard and locked it. When Lulu saw Nicole reading a book after tidying up her place, she walked over and asked hesitantly, "Nicole, I heard the Maths Olympiad training class you attend teaches a different syllabus than ours. Could you tell me about the Olympiad math questions you learned?" Nicole nodded and passed Lulu the pile of example questions from Mr. Lewis that afternoon. Lulu's eyes sparkled. "Are these for me?" She had wanted the Maths Olympiad questions for a long time, but she just could not participate in the competition as she was not on par. "Thank you, Nicole. I'll do them now. Can I ask for your help if I have questions?" After getting Nicole's reassurance, Lulu happily ran back to her spot to answer the questions. But it only took a few minutes before she returned to Nicole gloomily. "Nicole, I don't even understand a single question. Could you explain it to me?" Before Nicole could respond, June, who was busy memorizing individual words, said frustratedly, "Are you done, Lulu Barrera? Do you know that some of us are trying to study? You are chirping even with my headphones on." June was already annoyed that Lulu was a committee member of the study club despite being an average grader. However, June could only be the English class representative despite sitting in the third row in class. After being yelled at by June, Lulu felt so wronged that she did not dare to speak anymore. Nicole looked at Lulu's scrunched-up face and said, "I'm hungry, so I'm heading to the cafeteria. Are you coming?" Lulu immediately nodded, and they left the dorm, one behind the other. On their way to the cafeteria, Lulu said she could not understand how her soft voice disturbed June. Nicole and Lulu got their food and started to dig in as Lulu asked Nicole for the solutions to the Maths Olympiad questions she saw just now. Nicole chose a few simple questions that suited Lulu's level and explained them to her. Nicole's solution was very simple as well, so Lulu understood her immediately. Lulu then praised Nicole, "You're so good at this, Nicole. I didn't understand this back when Ms. Emerson taught us a similar question. I feel like I understood everything after you explained it to me." The both of them went back to the dorm after they were done eating. Lulu was reminded of June's attitude and said once more, "June is way too cold. You definitely don't know this, Nicole, but when you weren't here last time, the both of us had never said a single word to each other in the dorm. She never goes to class with me and would never respond to me every time I greeted her." Nicole was not really interested in the drama between little girls, so her mind started to wander off as she listened. Suddenly, she saw Jared's coffee shop. Nicole thought about the time when Jared said she could drink his coffee anytime she wanted and started to miss the unique taste of Jared's shop's coffee beans. She could not help but interrupt Lulu and point to the coffee shop at the school's entrance. "Do you want to go there? I've been there once, and their coffee tastes nice." Not only was it nice, but it was Nicole's favorite. Lulu shook her head and said, "I'll pass. The exam is coming up, so I have to go back and do my revision. My mom will be really angry if I get bad results." Nicole did not make her stay after listening to her response, so the both of them split up in front of the cafeteria. Nicole watched as Lulu returned to the dormitory before walking toward the school's entrance. Just when Nicole reached the entrance, she saw Jared talking to the manager about something, nodding from time to time. "Is Mr. Johnston that free? Why is he always hanging around at his shop?" Nicole wondered. Nicole did not know Jared well, so she did not care about them. She just walked to the coffee shop steadily and realized that the menu included many other desserts other than coffee now. One of them had an extraordinary name too, so she ordered a few items, fascinated. Before walking to a corner and taking a seat, she ordered a cup of mocha. Next to her seat was a floor-to-ceiling window, so Nicole enjoyed the beautiful sunset view for a while before she pulled out the book she had read in the afternoon and continued where she left off. Jared had already seen Nicole the minute she walked in. Normally, any girl who saw him would walk over to him and greet him, but his fiancée paid no heed to him. From the minute she entered, she did not even spare Jared a glance before finding a place to make her order. She seems like she's really here for free coffee. Am I not as attractive as the coffee? Jared started to frown with frustration as he wondered. He called his assistant, Max, over and whispered something into his ear. Max nodded gently. After some time, Nicole's order arrived, and she noticed that there were 2 coffee mugs. She looked up at Max, who brought her order, and signaled him to explain himself with her eyes. Somehow, Max, who was under Nicole's stare, felt as if he was facing his boss. He wiped the sweat on the edge of his forehead and said politely, "Miss Riddle, this is the cafe's new product. Since you have a deep understanding of our coffee, the cafe owner specially ordered me to send you a cup for you to have a taste." The cafe owner? Nicole turned around and saw Jared casually playing with his coffee mug. When he saw her looking over at him, he smiled playfully and gestured for her to drink the coffee. Nicole felt like he seemed to want her to try the new product. She thought about it and raised her mug to have a sip indifferently. The new coffee was rich in flavor and was packed with a dense taste. It was not the usual taste of coffee, and she had few comments in her mind. Jared watched her as she was drinking the coffee. Nicole took some time before she commented, "If I'm not mistaken, this is probably the coffee beans harvested from Mr. Johnston's private estate in France." The bitterness of the beans was turned pleasant, and the latest freeze-drying technique was applied as the processing method. The low temperature will keep the original taste of the coffee beans and allow them to be heavily frothy. The coffee filled with a rich aroma will leave only a pleasant taste in the mouth with no sourness. Before Max could speak, Jared was already walking toward Nicole as he clapped. "Not bad at all. You've got a good taste, Miss Riddle. You've got everything right." Jared had waited for her for a few days, and she, as expected, did not let him down. Not only did this girl know about the coffee beans from his estate, but she had also tried the newest product before. "Miss Riddle, my coffee beans are the newest batch. There isn't enough time for us to send some to Mr. Ellison, so where have you tasted it?" At that moment, Nicole's expression changed. It turns out that Jared still had not gotten over it. Was he setting traps for her? Nicole could tell that he did not believe her lies at all. Jared just took a seat across from her when he saw her slightly panicking. He then stared at her teasingly as he waited for her response. "Besides, why are you so familiar with the coffee beans from my private estate? You even know about the processing methods so well." Jared would only introduce a few roasting techniques to the people visiting his private land. But the few friends he had were all high-ranking big shots. No matter how Nicole got her hands on his coffee, the person who sent her the coffee beans they had gotten from Jared must have highly regarded Nicole. Jared got more intrigued about Nicole's past as he thought about this. Nicole saw that she could not hide the truth anymore, so she did not bother looking for excuses. She looked him dead in the eye and smiled. "Obviously, the reason I know about it is that I drank the coffee from the owner of that estate. Besides, I've had it for years." Jared was even more surprised as his coffee would only be sent to the most powerful people in the world. Besides, the supply was very limited. And Nicole actually said that she had drunk his coffee for years? His fiancée was incredibly mysterious. "Last time, you said Mr. Ellison let you drink it, Miss Riddle. It was obviously a lie, so would you be so kind as to disclose the identity of the friend who gave you the coffee beans?" "No." Nicole smiled. Her smile was graceful and not rude, but it had kept his mouth shut. It was the first time Jared was rejected by someone, so his eyes squinted slightly. But he could not force Nicole as her identity was still a mystery. "All right, seems like I could only do my own research." Jared smiled as his enticing eyes met hers mid-air. Max could not help but gulp as he watched them. Both were equally matched, staring at each other like they were in a battle. "It's up to you." Though Nicole was a little bothered about the power of the Johnston family, her identity could not be dug out so easily, so there was not much for her to be afraid of. Jared was even more impressed with her when he saw her acting so calmly. To be able to withstand his presence, Nicole was definitely not a country girl, let alone a normal student. Interesting, how interesting. Nicole took another sip of coffee and said slowly, "Is Mr. Johnston Sr. fully recovered? Do you think he can meet visitors now?" Jared concentrated on Nicole as his smile grew deeper. He did not expect Nicole to bring up such a thing. "No," Jared responded coldly. He returned Nicole's word to her. Nicole arched her brows slightly as she thought, "This rascal, Jared, sure holds grudges. It's all right. I'll head over when he is available. After all, I'm still young. Don't delay your own marriage, Mr. Johnston." Nicole smiled brightly before she buried her head in her book again. Jared's expression froze in a split second. This young lady sure knows how to provoke people. Jared saw that Nicole had no intentions of talking to him, so he said, "Sure, we'll meet him someday then. I've got something to do, so I'll be leaving now." Jared then fixed his tie and got up before turning and leaving dashingly. Max was the only one who knew that his boss was a little upset. After Jared left, Nicole only looked up to see the back of his figure. For whatever reason, she suddenly found his sulking expression interesting. She stopped smiling and shook her head, and continued reading while drinking her coffee. The sky turned dark in the blink of an eye, and Nicole finally decided to go back to her dorm to rest. She kept her book away and got up after leaving a banknote on the table. Before leaving the cafe, she saw Rain bringing Gary into the premise. Nicole could not help but smirk as she did not expect Rain to show up at the cafe after being humiliated here. Gary also saw Nicole and got a little angry as he thought about her rejecting him earlier in the afternoon. So, he did not start a conversation with her, though his eyes were still following her around. Rain's expression turned hideous as soon as she saw Nicole. Gary had been treating Rain exceptionally cold these days. She knew that Gary was very interested in this cafe, so she tried her best to bite the embarrassment bullet she got from the slap last time. She managed to get Gary to come with her, but who would have known that Nicole would appear everywhere? When Rain watched Nicole walking past her and the cashier, leaving without paying, she could not help but mock Nicole. "How could you leave without paying, Nicole? You country folks are really uneducated. You're trying to avoid paying even when you're in full view." Nicole just rolled her eyes at Rain. She paid no heeds to her and pushed the door open. Rain saw Nicole shaking her head, so she thought Nicole was trying to leave without paying. She immediately rushed over to the man at the cashier and said, "Hey, do something about her. She's trying to leave without paying. You're lucky I saw it." Nicole had insulted Rain last time, so Rain wanted to embarrass Nicole to the point where she could not bring herself to get her coffee from this cafe anymore. Unexpectedly, the cashier only gave her a polite smile. "That lady is Miss Riddle and she's our cafe's VIP. She doesn't have to pay for anything here. As for you, Mrs., you've already been blacklisted by our cafe. The cafe owner doesn't welcome you. Please leave." "What?" Rain was trembling with anger after hearing his words. She did not expect Nicole to be able to dine in here for free so easily, but she was chased out even when she wanted to spend her money here. "How do you run your business? Do you know who I am? How dare you blacklist me? Do you want your business to close down?" The cashier, who was polite to her, immediately changed his attitude upon her remarks. "I don't care who you are, but the rules of our cafe remain. Don't act so atrociously here, or you will pay for it." Two big-built bodyguards appeared behind the cashier after he was done speaking, staring down at Rain. Rain wanted to continue speaking, but Gary could not stand being in such a humiliating situation anymore, so he just turned and left. He had never been rejected by anyone ever since he was young. Rain was really embarrassing him. Rain panicked when she saw Gary leaving, so she immediately ran after Gary after shooting the cashier a glare. "Gary, wait up." Max walked down the stairs after Rain and Gary left and praised the cashier. "You've done well." Rain was yelling at the fiancé of his boss and was even threatening people in Johnston's territory. She was obviously asking for trouble. Max then walked to Nicole. "We're sorry for startling you, Miss Riddle." "It's all right." Nicole smiled, not feeling upset. Instead, she was really relieved at the fact that Jared had blacklisted Rain. "Please thank Mr. Johnston for me. I'll visit here often. Nicole waved and left after speaking. Max was a little surprised as he thought, Miss Riddle seemed happy. At that moment, the cashier walked over to Max. Mr. Graham, that lady just now left some money on the table. Max took the banknote and smiled. This lady sure is interesting. He thought, Mr. Johnston already said that Nicole did not have to pay for anything in here, but she refused to owe him anything. People like her are rare these days. The sky was dark, and the streetlights on campus were all lit up. Nicole walked slowly to her dormitory with her bag in her hands, and it did not take long for her to reach her dorm. Just when she was about to go up the stairs, she sensed that something was about to fall from upstairs. Her reaction was quick, so she dodged it immediately. Suddenly, a rock landed on the ground, and a loud noise was heard. A rock. She thought, who was pulling such a sick prank? If I hadn't evaded that rock, it would have cracked open my skull. She sensed that the rock was thrown from the dormitory next to hers just now. The dormitory was for boys, so she had no idea who bore so much grudge at her that he had to hit her with a rock. The culprit was still looking at her from the 10th-something floor and was upset that the rock did not hit her. The person scoffed and tucked his head back in. Nicole did not see his face, but she wondered, I have just moved into the dormitory today, so I shouldn't have offended anyone here? Although she was in puzzlement, she just walked to her dormitory calmly, without saying anything. After she got in, she took a hot shower. When she got out of the shower, she heard Lulu exclaim from the bed next to hers, Nicole, look at the school forum now. Everyone is buzzing there. They said you bullied Snow, so you don't deserve to be the campus queen. Lulu knew that Nicole did not log on to the school forum very often, which meant that she did not know about these things. Nicole heard her and pulled out her phone to check the school forum. She immediately saw the post with a picture of herself with a cold expression and Snow, who was wiping her tears from the corner of her eyes. The picture was taken from a very good angle, showcasing Snow biting her lips, eyes reddened. How pretty! The comments were basically insults against Nicole, saying that she had gotten too full of herself after being the beauty queen and started to bully Snow. Additionally, some people were so extreme that they were sending death threats, saying that they will kill Nicole to avenge Snow, which obviously showed that they were Snow's fans. Nicole thought about the incident and realized that this picture was taken when Snow was telling her that she would not cause trouble again. So, in the picture was Snow's worried expression. Back then, Nicole had already felt like Snow was too much. She did not think that someone would take a picture of that scene. Was not everything too coincidental? Nicole continued to scroll down and actually found Snow's response toward this matter. Don't talk about Nicole like this, guys. She's pretty, so it's natural for her to be arrogant. I'm really fine. Thanks for all your concerns. Snow would die before she admitted that Nicole was prettier than her. She was even gritting her teeth in anger when she thought of Nicole's face as she typed that comment. However, her reply indicated that Nicole had really bullied her. So her fans were all heartbroken for her, saying that they would definitely make Nicole pay. Even the people who did not know what happened were criticizing Nicole. Nicole arched her brows when she saw this. Snow really knows how to play the victim card, Nicole thought. However, this could explain where the rock that was aimed at her came from. Nicole figured that the boy was Snow's fan, so he was just avenging Snow. Nicole refreshed the school forum and noticed that some people were still fishing for her background and her personal details. But their skills were too weak, so they could not even break the first firewall she set up. Since the top students in school could not search anything about Nicole's background, they were all saying that Nicole had no history at all, so she did not deserve to be crowned the beauty queen. Nicole read those words half-heartedly as she rubbed her damp hair in her towel. Her fair arm was exposed under her bathrobe, so she looked even more ethereal with the contrast of her soot-black hair. She looked at the posts expressionlessly as if the discussions were not about her. Lulu could not help but ask from the upper bunk, Nicole, everyone is going crazy on the school forum saying that you're not on the same level as Snow and that you don't deserve to be the beauty queen. What are you going to do? Nicole responded lazily, nothing much. She then cleaned up her bed after speaking and threw her phone aside like none of these were affecting her. Even June took some time out from studying to look at Nicole, which was rare. June thought Nicole would act like other girls, getting angry and frustrated. She did not expect Nicole to act as if nothing had happened. June looked at the time and saw that it was already 10:30 at night. So, she just switched off the lights without considering the fact that Nicole was still cleaning up. Nicole paused for a while, but her night vision was fairly good, so she just continued to clean up her bed nonchalantly. Lulu popped her head out from the upper bunk and said, "Don't be angry, Nicole. June has always acted like this. She won't care about what you're doing because she has to sleep at 10:30 at night when we're only asked to switch off the lights at 11 o'clock at night." Nicole just responded with an indicating that she got it. Lulu popped her head back in. She had already gotten used to June switching off the lights at her own will, so she had already washed herself up and was ready to sleep. Nicole was going to sleep when she saw both of her roommates sleeping. At that moment, her ringtone went off. Nicole took her phone and looked at the phone number, which was an encrypted number. Her indifferent gaze immediately changed when she saw that number. She looked at her roommates, who were asleep, and sneaked out from her bed to leave the room, not making any noise. She paused for a while and answered the call. The response she got from the other end of the phone was just the whistling wind. No one spoke. Nicole listened to the silence and asked, "Carl?" Both Carl and Nicole made a promise to pause for 10 seconds when they called each other to confirm their identity. A faint laugh echoed from the other end. "I knew you'd recognize me." Nicole knew that he was all right after listening to his cheeky voice, so she was finally relieved. Nicole sighed. "You're still alive, Carl. This is great." Carl did not respond after hearing Nicole's words, and Nicole could only hear the sound of his breaths. "Nicole, you know, when I was close to dying, I only wanted to see you." His words melted Nicole's heart for a while. Before Nicole had her family, the person who was the closest to her was Carl. To her, Carl was just like her real brother. So, she could really understand what he was feeling. "I've always wanted to see you too," her voice trembled, which had never happened before. Carl knew that Nicole must have been lonely these days. She must have missed him a lot. "I know. That's why I fought to stay alive. The thing I'm most afraid of is you being sad." His voice was filled with adoration and longing. After the near-death experience this time, Carl finally understood how important Nicole was to him. Nicole's nose started to burn, and she took some time to calm herself. "Now that you're fine, I don't have to worry anymore. Zane will arrange for us to meet when we are safe. There are people after me now, so I can't really contact you all the time." Carl sulked for a second as Nicole did not respond to him, but he knew that Nicole was naive. She did not know that his feelings were different from before. He thought about this and lifted his spirits as he said, "I know I shouldn't call you now as I will endanger you. But he really missed her. He missed her so bad it hurts." So did Nicole. She had been longing to hear Carl's voice. "It's all right. I'll meet you the first thing when everything is stable." Nicole's voice made Carl fall silent. He knew that Nicole would not simply make promises. Once she did, she would always keep her words. "Okay, I'll wait for you." The both of them knew that their call could not be too long, so they just reminded each other to take care before hanging up. Nicole felt extremely relieved when she laid back on her bed. She was always worried about the outcome of this issue, so she could finally have a night of good sleep now. The next morning, Nicole came back from her morning exercises and went to class with Lulu. When they walked back to class, she realized that the hard-working students were all whispering among themselves. "Did you hear? Harvey, the hottest boy in school, finally completed the 2-week-long International Physics Olympiad competition. He's coming back after a few days. Are you for real? No wonder I haven't seen him these days. It's just because he joined that famous physics Olympiad competition. Harvey is coming back. My dry school life is coming to an end." These students were all discussing excitedly, but when they saw Nicole coming in, they strangely went silent. Nicole just ignored them and walked past them before sitting down at her table, and that was when the noises started to rise again. Harvey is coming back. If he sees Nicole bullying Snow like this, he will definitely make her pay. Yeah. Everyone knows that Harvey takes care of Snow, and she still dares to bully Snow. She's just asking for it at this point. Everyone looked at Nicole excitedly, like they were gloating over Nicole getting in trouble. Nicole had been acting so arrogant these days, enjoying the limelight as much as she can. It was about time she learned her lesson. Who was Harvey? He was Mr. Ellison's grandson, the notable heir of the Ellison family. He was the real wealthy prince. The Finley family is the only family in school that was somewhat in the same league as the Ellison family. The rest of them would never mess with the Ellison family. Nicole did not even bother to listen to what they were saying, but she just felt that Harvey was a very familiar name. It sounded like the name of the grandson that Mr. Ellison mentioned. Mr. Ellison even wanted to introduce Harvey to Nicole, but she rejected him straight. However, Harvey was on the same side as Snow. Bradley heard what they were talking about in the front row, and he could not help but turn back to look at Nicole worriedly. Everyone in Royal Creek Institute knew that Harvey and Snow were a couple. Though the both of them did not go public with their relationship, Harvey only allowed Snow to be next to him, and it was the best proof of their relationship. "Nicole, everyone is spreading that you're bullying Snow on the school forum. When Harvey comes back and knows about this, he will never tolerate it. Why don't you take a break from school and hide for a while? You can come back when the school forum is less heated." Nicole knew that Bradley was genuinely worried about her, but it was unnecessary. Harvey did not deserve her taking a break from school. Nicole shot Bradley a calm gaze and pulled out an Hesperian book to read. Sitting behind Nicole was Jack. He noticed Nicole was reading a different book than the books she used to read, so he turned around and said to Gary, "Gary, Nicole is being pretentious again. How could a country bumpkin understand Hesperian?" Gary was initially leaning his back against the chair lazily, staring at Nicole, who was the topic of everyone's conversation. He furrowed his brows when he heard Jack's remark, but he did not say anything. His vision was good, so he could immediately see the anatomy chart that was marked with Hesperian words on the cover page. It was a medical book. People should know that medical books in a foreign language were basically gibberish. Even Gary needed to use a lot of effort to read it, so he naturally assumed that it was impossible for Nicole to understand that book. However, he thought about how Nicole said that the maths Olympiad questions were too easy with a straight face, and he changed his mind. Could Nicole really understand that book? At that moment, a loud cheer exploded outside the door. It did not take long before a girl with a seductive face walked in, followed by 5 or 6 girls, who were all fairly pretty. But their outrageous aura overpowered their appearance, making them look despicable. The first seductive girl swept her eyes across the class and knocked on the podium, asking, "Which one of you is Nicole?" The whole class immediately looked at Nicole. Even after such a big commotion, Nicole just continued to read her book without looking up. The seductive girl grew jealous when she saw Nicole, whose beauty was still apparent even when she was sitting down quietly. She walked to Nicole and asked loudly, "Are you acting deaf? Are you Nicole?" Nicole finally looked up and glanced at her calmly, without any expression. Her eyes were cold and distant, and the seductive girl felt a chill running down her spine when Nicole stared at her like that. "Don't be so arrogant, you. We have all seen you bullying Snow, so you have to apologize to her in public. Don't think you can bully people however you want just because you're pretty." A cute girl chimed in behind her, "That's right. Snow is such a gentle person. You're too evil for even wanting to bully her. I heard you're from the countryside with no history whatsoever. As expected, country folks are all uncivilized. Do you think you deserve to be the beauty queen?" She glared furiously at Nicole when she said that. After listening to what they were saying, the whole class started to look at Nicole with despise in their eyes. They had seen Snow looking for Nicole in this class yesterday. Nicole was extremely cold and even acted like she could not hear Snow calling her. Country bumpkins were indeed utterly uneducated. Besides, she was not good at her studies. So they couldn't let someone like Nicole be the beauty queen. The girls were delighted when they saw the expression on everyone's faces. The seductive girl then grabbed Nicole. "Come with us and apologize to Snow." Nicole frowned with frustration and immediately raised her arm to push the girl's hand away. "Ah!" The girl almost lost her balance and looked up angrily. "How dare you push me?" "So what if I did?" Nicole stood up arrogantly. "Just because of those blurry pictures? You're all here to mess around and make me apologize just because of those pictures?" Nicole glanced at them from their heads to their toes mockingly. "It's fine if your eyesight is bad. But you people are missing quite a number of brain cells too, huh?" The seductive girl's blood boiled when she heard Nicole's insult. She was the heiress of the Holmes family and had always been Snow's follower. So who dared to insult her, saying that she missed some brain cells? She shrieked, "Are you insulting me, you little country batch? Girls, rip her lips off." The girls behind her were all clenching their fists, but Nicole's patience was wearing thin. She then looked at the seductive girl coldly and said, "I'm giving you one last chance to piss off yourselves. Or else, I won't go easy on you." Nicole never hit girls, but if these people continued to make a mess, Nicole would not let them go easily. How could the seductive girl give in? She had already been upset with Nicole. Nicole was just a transfer student from the countryside, but she had been enjoying too much limelight after Austin acknowledged her as his boss. Now, Nicole was even after Snow's beauty queen title. Her good luck was making everyone angry. She will never let Nicole go. She thought about this and attacked first, extending her long nails to claw at Nicole's face. She believed that Nicole would be nothing after she ruined Nicole's face. The seductive girl was busy scheming in her head, and the girls behind her were all charging toward Nicole's hair, eyes, and chest with their fists. The seductive girl smiled maliciously and lunged at Nicole as if she could already envision Nicole's face after being clawed by her. When the students in class saw what was happening, they all expected Nicole to run away frightened. After all, Ashley Holmes was a senior. They had all seen Ashley and her friends bullying people, targeting the girls' weakest areas. The girls who were bullied by them were all utterly pitiful, so they thought Nicole was doomed as well. However, when the seductive girl's hands almost touched Nicole, Nicole quickly outstretched her arm. Before the students saw her movements, she had already grabbed the seductive girl's neck and pinned her against the wall via inertia. The remaining girls had never seen such a fight, so they got frightened and were going to stop fighting, but Nicole did not spare them any chances. She evaded her hand and extended her other arm. Smack, 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 each of them got a slap on the face. Those people then fell flat on the desks one after another. What's happening? The fallen girls felt a burning sensation on their faces. They had no idea how they would be thrown here just by one slap. "Since you are all girls, I'm just using one of my hands. If this happens again, don't blame me for going all out on you." Nicole's eyes emitted a murderous aura before she took out a tissue paper and wiped her hands as if she found them dirty. Everyone's eyes widened when they saw her movements. My God! She's really cool. Did Nicole really take care of the seniors just by using one hand? Exactly. Many of their gazes turned from despising to admiration. But most of them were so startled that they did not dare to speak. As for Ashley and her friends, they were completely dumbfounded as they looked at Nicole frightenedly. They had always bullied people in a gang, so none of the girls they bullied could fight back. But Nicole was strong, beating them up until they could see stars. Even their cheeks were swollen. Furthermore, Nicole had only used one hand. If Nicole used two hands, weren't they going to be lying flat on the ground?
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.